Let me ask you something deeply personal. When was the last time you went an entire day without worrying about what someone thought of you? When was the last time you made a decision, a big one, without second-guessing yourself for hours afterward? When was the last time you woke up and felt genuinely, completely, unapologetically at peace? If you're struggling to remember, this video is for you. Because today, we're going to talk about one of the most powerful, most misunderstood ideas in the history of human philosophy. The idea that the less you care, the happier, the stronger, and the more powerful you become. Not caring in the way most people think. Not recklessness. Not selfishness. Not apathy. But a deep, disciplined, intentional decision to stop giving your energy, your peace, and your power to things that were never worth it in the first place. The Stoics called it the foundation of a good life. And by the end of this video, you will understand exactly why. So settle in. Get comfortable. Because what you're about to hear could genuinely change the way you see everything. The world that taught you to care too much. From the moment you were born, the world started teaching you to care. Care what people think. Care about your image. Care about fitting in. Care about being liked. Care about being chosen. Care about being enough. Your parents meant well. Your teachers meant well. Society meant well. But somewhere along the way, that caring turned into a prison. You started making decisions based on what other people would think, not what you actually wanted. You started shrinking yourself to make other people comfortable. You started saying yes when every cell in your body was screaming no. You started chasing things, money, status, approval, validation, not because they made you happy, but because you were terrified of what people would say if you didn't. And the result? Anxiety. Exhaustion. Emptiness. You became so busy managing everyone else's opinions of you that you completely lost track of who you actually are. This is the trap. And most people live their entire lives inside it without ever realizing the door was never locked. The Stoics saw this trap clearly. Thousands of years ago, they identified it. They named it. And more importantly, they showed us exactly how to escape it. What the Stoics actually taught. Marcus Aurelius was the most powerful man in the world. Emperor of Rome. Commander of the greatest military force in history. A man whose word could end lives or build empires. And yet, every single morning, he sat down and wrote to himself. Not about power. Not about conquest. Not about wealth. He wrote about peace. About letting go. About the irrelevance of other people's opinions. He wrote things like, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Epictetus was a slave. He owned nothing. He controlled nothing about his external world. And yet he was one of the freest human beings who ever lived, because he understood one thing with perfect clarity. There are things within our control. And there are things outside our control. And the moment you stop trying to control what was never yours to control, you become free. Seneca, one of the wealthiest men in Rome, warned anyone who would listen. He said most men are not living. They are waiting to live. They are postponing their happiness, their peace, their freedom, always waiting for the right conditions. Conditions that never come. These three men, different backgrounds, different circumstances, different lives, arrived at the exact same truth. Caring too much about the wrong things is the source of nearly all human suffering. And learning to care less, strategically, intentionally, wisely, is the path to genuine happiness. The dichotomy of control, the most important idea you will ever learn. If you take nothing else from this video, take this. There are two categories of things in your life. Things you control. And things you do not control. Things you control, your thoughts, your choices, your effort, your attitude, your values, your response to what happens to you. Things you do not control, other people's opinions, the economy, the weather, your past, how people treat you, what they say about you, whether they like you, whether they choose you. Now here is the brutal truth that most people never accept. The majority of things we spend our energy worrying about fall into the second category. We lie awake at night worrying about what someone said. We replay conversations, We rehearse arguments. We obsess over how we came across. We check our phones constantly waiting for validation. All of that energy. All of that pain. All of that suffering. Spent entirely on things we cannot control. And the things we actually can control, our habits, our mindset, our growth, our choices, we neglect. Because we're too exhausted from carrying everything else. The Stoics said, stop. Draw the line. Clearly and firmly. What is mine to control, I will pour my entire energy into. What is not mine to control, I will release completely. Not reluctantly. Not with resentment. But with genuine, peaceful, total release. This is not weakness. This is not giving up. This is the highest form of wisdom a human being can practice. Why most people care about the wrong things. Let's be honest about something. Nobody wakes up and decides to waste their life caring about things that don't matter. It happens slowly. Quietly. So gradually you don't notice until the damage is done. Someone makes a comment about your appearance, and suddenly you spend years trying to change how you look. Someone laughs at your dream and suddenly you abandon it without even trying. Someone rejects you and suddenly you decide you're not worth loving. Someone succeeds where you struggled and suddenly you decide you're not capable of greatness. We absorb these messages. We internalize them. We build our entire identity around other people's passing judgments. And then we wonder why we feel empty. Here is what the Stoics understood that most people don't. Other people's opinions are just thoughts in their mind. They have no power over you unless you hand that power over. When someone criticizes you, nothing has actually happened to you. A sound was made. Words were spoken. That is all. The suffering only begins when you decide to pick up that criticism and carry it with you. You choose what you carry. And you can choose to put it down. The art of strategic not caring. Now I want to be very clear about something because this is where most people get confused. Not caring does not mean not feeling. Not caring does not mean being cold, disconnected, or numb. Not caring does not mean you stop loving people, stop having ambitions, stop engaging with life. Stoic not caring is surgical. It is precise. It is intentional. It means learning to distinguish between what deserves your energy and what doesn't. Your health deserves your energy. Other people's opinions of your body don't. Your relationships deserve your energy. The approval of people who don't know you don't. Your growth deserves your energy. Replaying embarrassing moments from 5 years ago doesn't. Your purpose deserves your energy. The noise of critics who have never tried to build anything don't. This is the art. This is the practice. Every single day, you make thousands of micro decisions about where your energy goes. The Stoic path is to become ruthlessly, lovingly intentional about those decisions. To ask, does this deserve my peace? Does this deserve my time? Does this deserve space in my mind? And if the answer is no, let it go. Without guilt. Without apology. Without explanation. What happens when you start caring less? Let me paint you a picture of what life looks like on the other side of this practice. You stop checking your phone every 5 minutes waiting for someone to validate your last post. You make decisions faster because you're not paralyzed by what everyone will think. You sleep better because you're not replaying conversations at 2 in the morning. You speak more honestly because you're not constantly filtering yourself for other people's comfort. You pursue what actually matters to you, not what looks impressive on the outside. You stop competing with people who are living completely different lives on completely different paths. You start showing up as yourself, fully, unapologetically, without performance. And here is the beautiful, almost counterintuitive truth that the Stoics knew and that you will discover for yourself. When you stop desperately seeking approval, people respect you more. When you stop trying to control outcomes, better outcomes tend to follow. When you stop clinging to things out of fear, the things worth having find their way to you more naturally. Peace attracts. Desperation repels. Freedom is magnetic. The opinion trap, and how to escape it. Let's talk about one of the most exhausting things human beings do. We live our lives in the court of other people's opinions. We present our case every day, through our clothes, our words, our social media, our choices, hoping the jury comes back with a favorable verdict. And even when they do, it's never enough. Because approval is like a drug. The more you need it, the more you need it. Marcus Aurelius wrote something that stopped me completely when I first read it. He said, "How much more harmful are the consequences of anger and grief than the circumstances that arouse them?" Think about that. How much of your suffering is not from the actual event, but from your reaction to it? From your obsession with it? From your inability to release it? Someone said something unkind to you once. That moment lasted maybe 10 seconds. But you've been carrying it for years. That is the opinion trap. And most people are living inside it without even knowing it. The escape is not to stop caring what anyone thinks forever. The escape is to rebuild your relationship with opinions entirely. To see them for what they are, temporary, subjective, constantly changing reflections of someone else's inner world, not facts about your worth. Someone's negative opinion of you says everything about where they are in their journey and almost nothing about who you actually are. Hold that truth. Carry it with you. Return to it whenever you feel the trap closing in.